All right. Well, welcome and thank you for joining me for this week's weekly webinar. This one I am very excited about. This is something that I have put a lot of time and energy into, not just preparing for this week, but over the years. This is my organizational change process, and I'm going to give it to you for free. You're going to get a PDF. So if you're watching this on the replay, check your email for attachments because there should be an PDF attachment of this process, and not just the process, but a scripted process of what to say, how to say it, the rationale behind why you're saying what you're saying, and all of those things in between. So I'm going to dive right in. I am going to actually share my screen here with all of you so you can see exactly what we're talking about. There we go. Let me go back up to the top here. And this is, I call it the people first method of implementing organizational change. It's just what I do. So, and I'm people first. So, so let's start with what it doesn't look like. Let's start with the wrong way to do something. And I bet if you've ever tried to implement change in your organization or business, it's probably looked something like this. Most organizations will hold an event or initiate a change that they want to implement in their company, and they usually follow the 5 following steps, these steps right here. So 1, they will announce the event or initiate the change that they want to implement. Okay, here it is, and they just put it out there into the universe. Then they will start gathering supplies and getting logistics rolling. Okay, we got to have Katie bring the blueberry muffins, and we got to have Tom set up all the garbage cans, and sure. And then you're going to hit some roadblocks, and you're going to start working through them. Meanwhile, you are trying to get people to sign up for this event or try to get them to sign on with the change, and you're begging them to attend. Hey, this is really great. You're going to love it. Just sign up. You should go there. And you're trying to convince them how great this is going to be. And it's like herding butterflies or cats. You pick your animal. And then you hold the event and you implement the change. And it's like, okay, we're doing it. Here we go. Here's the event. Here's the change. We've done it. And then number 5, the event's done or the change is implemented, and you look back around yourself and with your other leaders, and you're like, wonder if this was successful. I don't know. How do we know if this was successful? So here's Todd's questions. So if somebody came to me and did that, which I have seen this done 1,000 times, and then here's my questions. This is what I would ask. What was the goal of the change or the event? You have to have a goal. If you're going to do an event or you're going to implement change or whatever it is, what was the goal? And then how do you know if it was successful when you're done? And what metric are you using to measure the success? And did you also notice how you had to push people to engage and participate? We call that leading from the rear, because you are behind people and you're pushing them. Come on, you're going to love this. You got to get up there. Yep, sign up on the clipboard. Yep, here we go. Yep, this change is going to be awesome. You're going to love this new procedure. The new form is going to be fantastic. Can't tell you how much you're going to love it. I've seen it. You're going to love it. And it's a lot of work. It's stressful. You hear like the tone in my voice? Like it's like, please, please, you're going to love this. That's the wrong way to do it. That is absolutely what leading from the rear looks like, because you're always pushing people towards what you want them to do or where you think they should be. And I'm going to say a naughty word. It sucks. Nobody enjoys it. Now, this is the right way to do this. And I have done this. I have done this in schools. I have done this in churches and businesses. So this is effective across the board. This is a one-stop shop. I should bottle this and sell this. This is probably what I should do. Watch out, Tony Robbins. Here I come. So here we go. Much better process is to use purposeful and intentional steps that I have outlined below. And literally, I'm going to go through this entire document with you so you hear how I say things and understand what I'm saying. We are going to switch from leading from the rear to leading from the front, because that's a far better way to do that. So the first step, number 1, leadership determines what success looks like for the event or the initiative. Now, I keep saying, change or event or initiative. These are all interchangeable because it's the same process no matter what you're doing. So if you're going to hold a block party, this is the process. If you're going to implement a new procedure at your business, This is the procedure. This is what you do. All right. So leadership determines what success looks like for this event or initiative. Leadership also determines what the goals are. Once you have goals, you can start working towards what needs to be put in place, not only to support those goals, but also the structure to make those goals happen. So I call this starting with the end in front, or starting with the end as the first thing that you think about. So what do we want our successful point to look like? This is what success looks like. Then we start there and we work our way backwards to where we are now. And then we build up to that. So then we plan what successful participation looks like for all those involved. We will map out any training or coaching that people need so that they can be successful. All right, so if we're going to implement this new process in our business, well, then it's going to look successful if Jim and John both are participating in this way and using the correct forms. But Jim and John don't know how to use those forms yet, so we should give Jim and John some training on how to use those forms. That needs to be part of the process. Okay, and this is all just planning. We haven't even talked to Jim or John yet. Nobody knows this is going on yet. So the second thing that happens with leadership only is you anticipate and plan for and discuss roadblocks, because they're going to happen. You're going to have wrenches thrown in your gears, and you're going to have to know how to circumvent that. So roadblocks can be logistical, they can be financial, and roadblocks can be people, because people get in the way sometimes. And I'm not saying that to be facetious or silly. I'm saying absolutely, in organizations and businesses, there are always going to be people who are not on board with what you're trying to do. So how do we change that? So here we go. Have a plan to deal with each roadblock and assign a point person who can address this roadblock when they arise. You also need to empower them so that they can move with efficiency and start solving issues without another meeting. The worst thing you can do is have a meeting. All right, well, I've got a problem. All right, let's reconvene another meeting. No. If Susie can talk to these people about getting this thing done, all right, Susie, you're empowered. You're empowered to solve that problem and make whatever needs to happen. You can do it. And then report back when it's done. That's what we need. That's how we move forward. Because otherwise, you have another meeting, you hit another roadblock, you have another meeting, and this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak, where it just keeps happening over and over again. This is a fun one. If your roadblocks are people, select the right person to engage them, and selecting the right person is of the utmost importance. So if we know that John is not going to like this idea because he never likes these ideas, then we need to go find somebody who can talk to John. Now, Todd and John have already butted heads already. Not going to happen. So I'm going to choose Brian. Brian and John hang out together, and Brian's on board with this idea because Brian's in leadership, and Brian knows how to talk to John. So Todd, not the right person to talk to John. Brian absolutely is the right person to talk to John. You're going to go talk to John. And it might sound something like this. You know, if you know Bruce is going to raise an issue with this new initiative, you don't want the introvert who doesn't like conflict to talk to him. You want somebody who's going to engage in the conversation and be able to push back on John. Well, you know, John doesn't like something. Well, John, why don't you like it? Let's just talk about it. I call that getting in the sandbox. Get in the sandbox and get dirty. Okay. Well, you tell me about this. What really strikes you as going wrong with this? Because I see this as going well, and you have to have somebody who can push back and have those conversations with them a little bit. So again, we've not announced this yet. We have only done leadership things. We haven't even technically talked to Bruce. This is a guy I picked in this one. I haven't talked to Bruce yet. We've just selected the person who's going to talk to Bruce. Step 3, engage in intentional conversations about the roadblocks and also with key stakeholders. So now, this is step 3. We've done steps 1 and 2 already. Now step 3 is we are going to have these conversations. So this is going to be different with every initiative, every change that you implement in your organization. Maybe Bruce loves this one thing. All right, he's not somebody that we really need to worry about. But if we know Bruce is going to hate it, then absolutely we need to have a conversation with him. These are going to be very specifically targeted conversations with people you already know don't like change or are not going to like the event. So, really good example. I worked with a church that was going through a change process, and they were going to remove the pews and put in chairs, upholstered chairs. Now, pews in a church is kind of a sacred cow. People don't want to mess with the pews. So what I advised this church to do was start having conversations with people who you already know are not going to like this idea, and talk to them about it. Show them what the plan is to move forward, how we're going to put in chairs that have more padding and feel better and actually make more space in the sanctuary, and engage in those conversations. And that's what they did. And it was successful. It worked out. Remember, you are not picking a fight, but you are making the first move. You are getting out ahead of the problem so that you have time to regroup and have a second conversation. You aren't losing time. Okay. That's important to know. These conversations, like, oh, this is going to take so much time. I got to talk to Bruce. I got to talk to Jenny. I got to talk to Susie. I got to talk to John. Yep. And if having those conversations makes the change smooth, then isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth having a conversation ahead of time to make a smooth change, as opposed to having a change implemented and then having 4 negative pushback conversations with all those people? Because those are a lot more stressful. And then if those people start to rally their friends, then you have a movement and momentum against you. And you want momentum on your side, moving in the direction of change towards your goals. So that's why we're engaging these people early and often. You want to do the same with your cheerleaders, because every organization has 3 main people in it. 3 main groups of people, I should say. You have the people who are just along for the ride, and they are cool with whatever you want to do. Yep, let's go. Then you have people, about 5%, who are negative and don't necessarily like change, and they're going to work against you. And then you have the group of cheerleaders. They love it. They love change. This is a great idea. Let's go for it. You want to engage those people as well, because they are going to send out the trailers in front of you, be like, hey, Debbie's really excited about this thing over here. I wonder, Debbie's excited about everything, but like, what is she talking about? Oh, all right. Well, if she likes it, she usually likes good ideas. Yeah, okay. Just that little thing right there. Hey, Debbie already knows about something and she's really in favor of it. Yeah, maybe she's excited about everything, but maybe it's not a bad idea. You also, this is a crucial step right down here. You want to solicit feedback and how this change may affect others in your organization. So when you're talking to Debbie and Bruce and Brian, you want to get their feedback, because these are people who are going to be working with you and they're not you. And that's important. They're going to have different insights and different angles to look at things that you are not seeing things from. So what are they seeing? What are they seeing as possible benefits? And what are they seeing as possible drawbacks? Ask those specific questions. Because if you're asking Bruce, who's negative about everything, hey, Bruce, what do you see as a problem with this thing? Oh, well, let me tell you, Todd. Yeah. Now he's going to get it off his chest in a controlled situation with somebody who can handle his negativity. And then maybe Bruce brings up a really good point that you didn't think about. Oh, I don't like that Bruce is always negative, but I did not think about that aspect of that. And that is something that we need to cover. We do need to think about that. Don't discount the feedback that people give you. They are doing the work. They are in the trenches. And the people who are in the trenches often have a better idea of how to do things than leadership. And that's hard for some leaders to understand and grasp. But if a leader hasn't done that specific job already and isn't currently doing it with those people in that situation, they might not understand all the way. So listen to what your people on the ground have to say, because that's a big deal. So we've engaged key stakeholders. We've engaged the people who are excited about everything, because, we want them excited. They're our salespeople. We also want to engage the people who we know are going to be negative about things, because we want to engage them early and often. because that's important to get ahead of problems. And by giving them that outlet to express what they think is going to be bad, then they get it out with you, and they might not circle the wagons and try to get other people on board with that. That's important. So the next thing, number 4, is shoulder tap specific people for key roles. I have said this before, and I'm going to say this till the day I die. Putting a clipboard out and saying, hey, sign up for this if you want to be involved, is one of the worst ideas you can ever do. You don't want just anybody signing up for just anything. There are people, we're all different. There are people who have specific skill sets that are good for what you're trying to implement. Shoulder tap those people. And literally, that means go up and tap them on the shoulder. And you don't actually have to tap them on the shoulder, but go up and say, hey, what name haven't I used yet? Let's go with Marissa. Hey, Marissa, we're going to do this thing, and you're really good at this thing. Now, we haven't announced this yet because we're kind of putting our ducks in a row first, but we really see you as highly effective in this thing that we need. Would you be willing to do this role in this initiative that we're doing? Sure. Yeah, we can have more conversation. Yeah. Thank you for thinking about it. I appreciate it. And then give her space. Come back to her the next day. Hey, did you think about that? What do you think? You'll do it? Fantastic. Because Marissa is really strong in that. Now, those of you who have been on a couple of these calls with me know I'm not great with technology. So Marissa is actually my wife's name. Marissa is my technology person. When I am 3 hours in and ready to throw the printer out the window and she comes in, clicks 2 buttons, and it's working in 3 minutes, yes. So Marissa, I am tapping you on the shoulder to take care of the technology stuff because Todd is not the person that you want. Now, Marissa is an introvert. Do we want Marissa out talking to a crowd of people about things that they're going to have questions about? Or do we put extroverted Todd out there who likes talking to people? Do you see how this works? You find people with the skills that you want, and then you put them in the position that you want them to be in. During this step, while you're having this conversation, these shoulder tapping conversations, you want to convey the vision to the person that you're talking to. That's going to help them get them on board. You want to convey the vision, say, hey, Marissa, I want you to work on this technology piece because broader vision, what we're trying to accomplish is X, Y, and Z. And your role is crucial. You have to convey, next bullet point, you have to convey why they are important and how you feel they are pivotal to the success of the vision and the goals. Now, is this blowing smoke? No, because you've thought about this. You're being intentional and purposeful with the people that you're talking to. And Marissa is pivotal in this thing coming through. So absolutely. Are you playing to people's egos a little bit? Sure, maybe. But you're not lying to them. You really need them because they're good at that skill or whatever it is that they're doing. And you really want them to participate. So yes, be honest with them. We want you involved because you are fantastic at this. And we see that. Are you more likely to volunteer to do something if somebody tells you that they see your work as important and valued and that you're really good at something and they recognize that? Well, actually, yeah, I think I will. I will be joining you for this. Or, yep, I agree with that. I'm going to be part of this change. That's what we're going for. This is also important. Be authentic. Be authentic. Are you stroking their ego? Yes. But if you're insincere, they're going to see through that and it'll feel disingenuous and they'll disengage. So you're starting to learn my personality through these webinars and you're starting to see Todd's the extrovert. Todd can have conversations. I've got somebody in my life who says that Todd can say anything to anybody. And I pride myself on that because I have conversations with lots of different people and that's what I try to do. Yes, that is my skill set. So that's what I try to do. You want specific people in specific roles. You want to stack the deck in your favor. If you were building a baseball team, would you want all shortstops? No. Because that's a different skill set than left field. That's a different skill set than pitcher. Would you want all hitters who can only hit home runs? No, because home run hitters strike out the most. You want base hitters so you can get people on base and then get the home runner hitters up to get those people in and score. So make sure that you're thinking about the key roles that you have and that you want filled, and be specific and intentional about the people that you talk to. Now, back to leadership. Plan what successful involvement looks like. All right, if Marissa is doing technology, we don't want her serving food at this event. She needs to be technology oriented, doing technology. So if she's doing technology and we're shoulder tapping her for technology, we should not go up to her in the middle of the event and say, hey, can you serve food? No, bad idea. Okay. If Marissa is implementing change and she is really good with the paperwork, and we then ask her to go out and talk to other people, no, she is really good at the paperwork. Her successful involvement looks like her doing the paperwork. That's what that change looks like. Also, start communicating and training and coaching people who need it. Maybe Marissa's not seen this new form yet, but she's going to need to be an expert at this form. So we're going to give her that form early. We're going to go over it with her. We're going to let her review it by herself, and we're going to let her ask any questions that she may have on that before we even talk about her training anybody. Then we start gathering supplies. And we can use Marissa. Marissa, hey, we're going to implement this change. What do you think? Like, we think we're going to need 1, 2, and 3. What do you think? Oh, we didn't think about that. That's a great idea. Yes, we need to get that as well. You're using the people who are good at what they do for a reason. Listen, leaders, listen. I'm going to say it one more time. Leaders, listen, because other people are going to have good ideas from a different angle that you may have not have thought of. All right, now, step 5. Believe it or not, this is the last step. Now we announce the event. Now we announce the initiative. Now we announce the change to the rest of the people in the organization. And you're thinking, really, Todd, this is the last step? We're doing this last? Shouldn't we announce it first and then build towards it? No, you announce it last because look at everything else you've done to prepare for a successful implementation. You already have the groundwork laid. You have the foundation in place. You have people in place. You have supplies in place. Now is the perfect time to start the initiative or implement the change because everything's ready to go. Here's why. Oh, I just said all this. I'm getting ahead of myself. Like, I have this memorized. This is what I did for a long time. Now you look back at the process. How many people do you already have on board and supportive? Well, we know Debbie's on board and supportive because she's a cheerleader. We've gotten Bruce on board because we talked to him early and often, and Todd didn't do it. Brian did it. So Bruce saw that Todd, Brian, and Debbie were all on board. Okay, that's probably going to go this way. Bruce is able to give his input, get some things off of his chest, and then see, okay, yeah, this actually is not a bad idea. Yeah, we can do this. You already have people filling key roles, and there are already people who are going to speak positively about this event because they understand the vision. They understand the goals because you laid that out for them. And this last point here, this is key. Now you have momentum. Now you have people on your side working in your direction. I'm going to tell you a story about, I was doing this at a church, and some of you have heard this story before already, so that's okay. It's a good story. This church was trying to revamp some of the spaces that they had in the church. And outside of the church library, there was a bookcase. There were 2 bookcases. And we thought, man, if we could move those and paint that wall, then we could put the youth group stuff up there because that's right next to the youth group room instead of having the bookcase for the church library. And so the pastor was like, okay, I'll go talk to the church librarian. And he said, hey, church librarian, can I talk to you for a second? Sure. Hey, are you okay if we move this bookcase? And she was like, no. And the pastor was like, oh, he didn't anticipate a no. Oh, okay. And she was like, no, just leave it there. I don't want it moved. Oh, so the pastor comes back to me and he's like, Todd, the church librarian does not want to move the bookcase. And I was like, did you explain the vision to her? No. Does she know why you want to move the bookcase? No. Does she understand how if we move the bookcase, it's better for the vision and actually better for the library because we want to move the bookcase back next to the library door? No. Okay. So let me do that. Let me go have a conversation with her. So go down to the church library and, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And this was at a later time. Sure. I said, hey, I want to share a vision with you. Not like a vision I had in my head, but like the vision of this change that we wanted to change this space. Can I show you some things? Sure. So you see how the wall over there is painted that different color? Yeah. Well, we want to carry that color this direction so it adds some flow to this space. And you see where the youth group room is? Yeah. And, well, right in this wall right here, we want to put a youth group table and paint this wall the same color. So like the youth group stuff is next to the youth group room and has the same color and there's flow there. And she looks at me and she says, well, then we should probably move my bookcase back over by the church library door, right? Yes. Yes, exactly. Great. That's a great idea. Thanks for bringing that up. Yep. So are you okay if we do that next week? Oh, yeah, that's fine. Go for it. Excellent. So I go back to the pastor. Hey, we're all set. We can move the bookcase back by the church library door. How did you do that? And I explained this process to him. And he's like, huh, yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. So this process works. The logistics are going to be different for everything. So as leaders, you have to figure out the logistics, what's going to need to be done, when, where, wow, and how, and who's going to be involved in all of that. Yes. But this process can be repeated in churches, in schools, in businesses, and nonprofits. If you follow these steps, you will be successful. Period. I've done it numerous times and it works every single time. Is it purposeful and intentional? Yes. Does it take forethought and planning? Yes. Do you have to follow these steps? Yes, because if you skip any of these steps, let's say leadership has determined what success looks like, you're anticipating, planning, and discussing roadblocks, but nobody goes and talks to the negative people. Nobody engages people who are going to not like this idea. Well, then you're going to have negative conversations around it. So you have to be purposeful and intentional with your conversations. So I know we've only got just a couple people on this call. I'm going to switch back to just my regular screen right now. There we go. So if anybody has any questions or specific scenarios that you would like to bring up, I'd love to address these now. If you don't, that's totally fine. So I know a lot of you just like to get this information on the replay and then implement this in your own businesses and organizations that you work for. So any questions? Going once, going twice. Third time's a charm. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I will have this out hopefully later this afternoon. Also, don't forget, look for the PDF attachment of this script and this process on the email. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week.